we're going to talk about the signal flow of your effects chains. So basically, let's do that with the drums here, and use a couple different drums in here to kind of check these how this works. And I'm going to go ahead and just use. I'm just going to highlight this section over here, and turn this one off over here. Turn off my kick drum here for a little bit. Oh, actually, that sub. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna get this one to be longer here. There we go. Cool. All right. So I made this 808 kick drum here longer intentionally. And I'm going to mute my cymbals. There we go. Don't need the cymbals going. Okay. So I made this one longer intentionally because to really see this in action helps a lot if we can hear, if we can hear like, the way I like to do this is to use distortion and low end stuff with an EQ, because that helps you really to understand that the effect, the order of your effects really matters. Okay, so let's just get our heads around that part first. So I've got all my drums here connected up, going to my drum group. So all my drums are going here into my drum group right over here. So everything is going through the drum group here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put some distortion in here. I'm going to put some effects in here. So let's go ahead and use, let's see, what kind of good distortion do I have? We'll use, I mean, I got my UAD stuff, but I don't have my UAD thing connected up to my computer right now. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, okay, let's just use this one called distortion. What is this one even? I don't even know what this one sounds like. Oh, you know what we could use? Oh, wait, can we? I don't have my thumb. All right, here, we'll use this one. All right. Oh, I've never used this one before. Okay, let's... I'm going to turn this down. Turn this drive up. All right, let's just listen to a few of these. Okay, cool. This one sounds... Okay, so here we can hear we've got pretty crazy distortion going on here, right, with that kick drum especially. All right, so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and put an EQ in here. I'm going to put a low cut EQ. So we can hear this. And basically everything I'm doing right now is just to demonstrate this, but you could use, I mean, this could be used for practical purposes as well. So first of all, I'm going to put this low cut EQ at, let's say 150. And we're going to put this EQ before and after the distortion. So here it is before right now. So let's go ahead and I'm going to bypass it. So we're going to hear it without the EQ. So here you can hear all that distortion coming from that 808, right? And now let's turn this off, or turn it on. Now we bypass, we cut the low end out of there, so we no longer have that distortion in there. Right, now let's put it after that distortion. So what's going to happen is that low frequency is going to go into the distortion. So we're going to hear the distortion, but then we're going to take the low frequencies out of it. So the distortion is going to sound just like not as deep. Hear that? You can still hear the distortion. You can still hear the sustain of the kick drum, right? You hear that, but we just don't hear the low end of it, but we're still hearing the distortion. Let's put it here in the beginning before it. Now you don't hear any distortion at all. Now you might be saying, okay, Tony, so what? Good for you, Tony. You've taken out the distortion. Well, the point is that the order matters. That's the whole point of this exercise here, is that the order matters. You can't just throw plugins any old way onto your track and be like, there you go. It's got an EQ, it's got a compressor, it's got a de-esser, it's got all the things. It's good enough, right? No, it's not good enough. You need to make sure you're checking out the order because everything affects everything else. So let's take a look at these notes here. And look at this. In an effect chain, the sound of each individual effect changes the signal, then outputs the affected signal, then the next effect changes that signal, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So with this setup in here, I've got all my drums are going into here, and I've got that 808. Let me just bypass these, holding down Command and clicking them to bypass them. There's what it sounds like. Let me just put this up. Cool. Okay. Now, if I turn on my EQ, we don't hear the sustain of that 808 anymore. And actually, you know what? I'm going to accentuate this 808. I'm going to put a compressor just on the 808 here, just to get it some sustain. Let's use the BF76. Let's use a different one. Let's use this one down here. It's 1176, but it's the Native Instruments version of it. There we go. Hear that sustain? Better already. Right. There we go. Hear how long it is now? Okay. So if I turn this EQ back on, we can still hear it's happening, but we just don't have any, right? There's just no low end in it. Let me turn this down to 100 hertz. No, back to 150. Oops, whoa, 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 whoa. All right. So now let's get this distortion going on. I'm going to turn this back down again because it's going to be too loud otherwise. Okay. Now you can hear it sounds basically the same. The thing is that 808 has all this low energy in it. So if I get rid of this, if I turn off my EQ here, hear how it's distorting that now? Right? Let's get this back over here. Get my loop back. There we go. Oh, what's up, Barb? How you doing? So we got this EQ. If I turn the EQ on, it's taking out all those low frequencies, so the distortion doesn't have anything to work with as much anymore. So let me go ahead and show you that. Let me pull these both up so we can see what's going on. There we go. No. Right? And if I bypass this one, now we're hearing that low end come through and it's hitting that distortion. Now, if I put the EQ afterwards, what's going to be happening is all that low end is going to be hitting the distortion. So it's going to distort, but then we're going to take out the low end after the distortion. So we're going to hear the distorted sound. We're going to hear all the high frequencies of that distortion, but without the low end. Okay, so you can hear how different it sounds. Because it's still getting distorted, we're just pulling it out, right? So that's what's happening here. And that's just to illustrate that the effects chain is really, really important, okay? So experiment, try different things. I mean, the main thing that you can do with your effects chains is be willing to experiment. There is a way that's kind of been tried and tested and people use it and it works, especially for things like vocals and this kind of stuff. And the more you experiment with it, the more you're going to be able to understand, if I do this, this will happen. But you need to experiment, because part of like making modern music is finding new sounds, doing cool new things, trying things out. That's a big part of making modern music. So you need to experiment with this stuff. And especially in the beginning, when you're not really sure what's going to happen, try it and see. One of my biggest pet peeves with my students is people saying, what happens if I do this? Well, my answer is try it and see what happens, and then come talk to me about it, because I know what would probably happen, but me telling you is not the same as you experiencing it. And you need to experience this stuff. So you need to go out there and try it out. So experiment, try different orders of stuff, change it up, see what happens. Okay. Now, if we look at this and we say, okay, the EQ is coming before the distortion. Well, I know that because of all that 808 has that really low end going on, that really low end stuff. That's what really is causing that distortion in there, because it's loud. Well, if I put the EQ before it, it's going to take away all that low end, so we're not going to get hardly any distortion at all. But if I put it after the plugin, the distortion plugin, that low end 808 is going to hit it, it's going to make all the distortion happen, and then we're going to suck it out. So we're going to get like a really high frequency sounding, but with distortion. Now, how do I know that? Because I've done it a whole bunch of times. I've tried it out. I've experimented with it. So that's what you need to do as well. Now, a little bit about effects chains and stuff. When you're experimenting, it helps to know kind of what's going on here. So we've got serial versus parallel, and this is just what you would expect it to be. It's very similar to how things work in other, what does parallel mean? Parallel means two things running side by side. That's what parallel means. Remember back to math, geometry, I think it was, where you talked about in class, parallel and parallel, that's what it means. Now, if you don't understand what serial means, think of like, I don't know, a really dark thing to think about would be like a serial killer. A serial killer is a person who kills, a lot of people, whatever, one after the other, which is a horrible thing to think about. But that's, that's a thing that you probably heard somewhere in like a true crime thing on TV or whatever. You probably heard the word serial like that. And that's what that means. Serial in this case means you've got one plugin after another. An effect, an effect, an effect, an effect, one right after the next, one right after the next. So parallel, the way I like to think of this really is parallel is like how I think about it in math. It's like that, and then serial is the other thing. After you get used to it, you'll just be like, oh, serial just means one after the next, right? Parallel just means two rows next to each other like this. They're kind of independent of each other. So in a serial chain, we have our dry signal goes into effect number 1, goes into effect number 2, goes into effect number 3. That's what this is. All of these are serial chains. Okay, so like over here, my vintage filter then goes into my EQ. Over here, the distortion goes into the one band EQ, like that. Parallel means you've got two rows that are independent of each other. They don't affect each other. In order to get this to happen, we have to split the signal. And this is where people talk about parallel compression drums and stuff like that. Well, this is where it comes from. Parallel compression is when you have the drums and you split the signal, and one side has compression and the other side doesn't have compression. And the whole point of this is to get more punch on the beginning of your drum sounds. In order to do that, we crank up the compression. The problem is, when you crank the compression, it gets rid of some of that low end. It gets rid of some of the body of the drums, and there's no real sustain anymore. It's just a pop, pop, pop type of sound. So in order to kind of get that sustain back, you're going to combine those two. So you want to have two signal chains going. So how do we do this? Well, the serial chain is quite easy. It's just, there it is. Now, let's say that I have my drums like this, and I like my drums. Yes, Barb, the New York compression. Absolutely. Why is it called New York compression? Do you know why it's called New York compression? I'm just going to let you sit with that question here for a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this over to I'm going to take the reverb out of this chain for now. Let's just have this go to our master out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the drum group over here to my drum reverb. I'm going to turn this one off here. And so that go to my drum reverb right there. There we go. Now it sounds like all my drums are inside of a well, right? Now the reason why I did this is because I want to show you that the distortion and everything comes before the reverb here. The drums are being sent to the reverb. So these sends here come after these inserts here. Let me go ahead and turn off the, there we go. right? You can hear all the distortion, everything is the reverb. The distortion has the reverb on it, okay? So that's how this stuff works in the serial world and how your effects work. These sends here are always after the effects. It doesn't matter if they're set for pre or post fader. Therefore, the sound going to the send is the affected sound. Pre or post fader, remember, it doesn't matter. If this is set for pre fader or post fader, it does not matter. It's always going to have those effects on. Now to go back to the question I asked a second ago, why is it called New York compression? The reason why it's called New York compression is because it was engineers in New York City who developed the technique. I don't remember the names of them because I'm horrible with names. I don't remember anybody's name. So, but it was engineers in New York who developed the process of parallel compression, or at least made it popular. And they did it to make drums fatter, and you can also use it for other stuff too, but you can use it for vocals. People use it for a lot of stuff, but it kind of came around and became famous mostly for drums. So how do we do this? Well, there's a couple ways we could do this. We could have if you don't really mind, it depends on what you want to do with the effects you use. If you don't want to have any effects on the dry sound, then you can do it like this. Or if you want to have different effects happening at the same time, you could do it like this right here. So there's two different ways of doing it. Let's kind of go over both of these ways here. So this way is like this, okay? So for straight up just regular parallel drum compression, what you do is you have your dry signal and then you have your effects. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this reverb, let's turn this off here. I'm going to put this back into my drums. I'm just going to move this around. You don't have to do moving it around like this. I just like to do that. There we go. Drum group down there. There we are. Boop. Cool. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to turn off this distortion. Don't need the distortion. You served your purpose in the EQ. Same thing. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drum group and I'm going to make a new aux track over here, stereo, and I'm going to call this in drum comp. And I am going to make it so it's not purple. Gross. I'm not a huge fan of purple. There we go. Let's use this one here. Actually, I want all these to be more orangey. I want them to be, yeah, like that. There we go. Okay. So now, my drum comp and my drum group here, and we'll call this in drum group pre-compression. And I'm going to go on this one here. I'm going to put a compressor on here. We'll put the same compressor. That's a pretty good, well, it's a pretty good compressor to use for all this stuff. I'm just going to turn my attack up, turn my release down like that, and set this all in so it's like super compressy. I'm going to set these down a little bit here so we can balance them out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to send it over to my drum comp. So I'm going to go to bus, let's go to bus, send it to track, drum comp here. Where are you? Drum comp, there you are. Boom, you can see it sets up all my stuff. I'm going to set this to pre. I'm going to put this just up to 0. Hold down Option and click it. There we go. Or Alt and click if you're on a... And now we can see it's being sent over here to this 1176. If I just pull this up, right, you can hear what this sounds like. If I want to solo this out, I can mute this. Now when I solo it out, you can hear, hey, it's still playing, even though I muted this. Well, the reason why is because I have this one set for pre. Let me turn this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to smash this input just a lot. You know what I want to do? I want to do it before... I don't want to have the reverb in here. Hold on a second. Let's get this reverb out of the drum group for now. Let's just have this go to my main output. There we go. Yeah. You hear how crazy that sounds? All right. Super, super compressed. The problem is this kick drum is too long. So I don't want it to be so long because we're going to use that. We still got the 808 bass, remember? There we go. Much better. Now, the other thing is all these sounds are affecting each other because... Actually, and I put that on the wrong... Hold on, I put that on the wrong thing. There we go. Wait, no, that's the right. Sorry. There we go. Okay. And then Barb says we have the cymatic glue comp and have a dry wet button there. If I put 50%, does Neo come to the final result is the same? Yes. So that, yeah, we're not there yet, but the short answer, Barb, is yes, 100% yes. That's exactly, you can do that. The problem is that if you do it like that, and I do it like that actually, I do use that dry wet knob, but right now, even though we're talking about parallel compression, what I also want to explain is just parallel chains, so it's easier to demonstrate like this. But any compressor that has a dry wet knob, like this one has a dry wet knob right here, dry wet, like right there, then that's actually dialing some of the original signals. That's basically a New York parallel compression as well. But I want to show it like this so you can see it. I do like to set up my tracks like this because it does give you more control over things, because you can add more effects onto the end over here. So I could do other stuff with this if I wanted to kind of beef up this parallel, this compressed sound. But if you just want a quick snappiness to it, then you can just throw that on there and just dial in, and usually put it for around 50% or 60% or something like that. You have to listen to it. But now we can hear. Here, let's use a different compressor. Let's get a different sound. This compressor is cool, but it's not exactly what I want. You are welcome, Barb. I appreciate the questions. Let's see here. Do I have? Oh, I do. Here we go. The solid bus compressor. So this is basically the Native Instruments answer to that glue compressor. They're both based on the SSL compressor, which my students at SAE have access to because we've got an SSL board. But let's go ahead and turn the threshold way down on here. Attack, the release is set. Good. Turn that ratio up. Now, you hear that? Yeah, that's a better New York compression sound. Hear all the poppiness in the beginning of it, right? Well, if I want to dial in the original sound, this gives me some of the low end back. If we listen, this one doesn't have any low end anymore. The reason why it doesn't have any low end is because that low end has a lot of energy in it, and it's really triggering that compressor very, very hard. But I can separate it out like this, get that nice little pop. Let's even make it more poppy. Let's use a modern effect here called a transient like shaper. The one I'm going to use is from Native Instruments. I have a few different ones. Let's see here. Let's just do a search for transient. I have a few different ones. Oh, the neutron one. That's I feel like I've got more. I don't know if I can use the neutron one right now because yeah, I don't have my iLok plugged in. Demo, get out of here. I don't want you. Get out of here before you start doing weird stuff at me. There we go. Okay. So transient design, I get the SPL transients shaper. I have transient master, transient shaper. Was this the one I got one? No, not this one. Anyway, that was probably pretty cool too. Let's go back here and let's use transient master. It comes with Native Instruments stuff. The one I'm thinking about might not be AIX plugin actually. I feel like I got a weird one from Eventide. I don't remember what it's called, and I got it and I was like, oh, I should use this, and I paid money for it, and then I don't think I ever used it. I think I forgot to use it. Oops. All right, so transient shaper, what this can do is it can actually boost our transients even more. Let's pull a sustain. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hear that? That's nuts. Now, so like this is how you make those drums super smacky and punchy. If you want those drums to be super smacky and punchy, yet have that low end, this is how you would do it right here. That's insane sounding, right? That's just so sounding. And we can balance these out. We can say I want less of the low end and more of the snap. And even these sounds are pretty snappy even without this. So here it is without it. Here's the original. Right here how that sounds. And hear how much crack you get in there. Just crack! Right? Nuts. Okay, so what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'm going to put these both into another group. I'm going to call this one drum group. And let me change the input on this one here. Let me rename this one. Drum group pre. And this one here is going to be drum group. Why are you that disgusting color? Come on. Come on. There we go. And now all of these two right here are going to go into my drum group over there. Hold down Option and Shift to do it for multiple tracks. Go down to track, go to drum group. Right there. Boom, not drum group pre. So now we're good. I'm going to send this one over here to drum group as well. Because I want my reverb to be in there, but I don't want my reverb to be part of this pre-group. There we go. Cool. Now, why did oh, we're feeding back. Oh, I sent you to the wrong place. That's why it was, sorry. It's a good thing Pro Tools has got my back on there and not like killing our eardrums right now. Oh, am I going to have to, okay, there we go. Cool. All right. There we go. Okay. Thank you for that protection there, Pro Tools. That would have gotten nasty real fast. That was my mistake. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, so we got this in here. So now, if I want to control this overall level of stuff, we got our snappy drum sound, and I can push it forward, or I can turn it down like this. And that's giving us our thing. So this is why, you know, Barb, this is why I would use this on a separate track as opposed to just using that dry wet knob, because if you just use the dry wet knob, then I can't put the transient master in there to get that extra crack out of it. Do you need that much snap in your drum sounds? Maybe. It depends on what you're doing. Depends on what your sound you're trying to make is. So that's the parallel compression with that, and we can add any kind of sounds in here we want. Another way to do this is to have how would I set this up? Is because remember, if I want to have two sets of parallel effects happening, well, this is not that. This is like if I put any effect on here, it's gonna go into here. So let's say that I wanted to have a little bit of compression on my drums overall, and I wanted to have a lot of like super compression. So I'm gonna make another aux track here. We're gonna call this one drum group comp, drum comp 2. I don't know, light, like that. Keep it color coded. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this one set for no output, which is weird, but I'm gonna have this one, let's put that back up to, oh, it's not gonna let me put it back to 0. And this one's set for pre, good. And I'm gonna set this one here, I'm gonna set this one to go to the drum group, drum comp light. And I'm gonna also set this one to pre. And now, on this, I'm going to put a little bit of compression. Let's put a different compressor on here. Actually, let's not put a compressor. Let's put some tape. Tape something. Let's use the slate. Where's my slate stuff? I'll explain the no output thing in just a second, Carlos. That's a great question. Let's get down here to my tape machines. There we go. There's my tape. And set this to go to the drum group. Boom. Sweetness. Now. Oh. Hold on, let me just. Yeah. My computer's like, what are you doing? You're trying to broadcast and record and use all these plugins at the same time. It's like, good luck, buddy. Oh, we're also set to 128. Let's set this to 512. There we go. I usually do stuff at 256. I don't know why I had that set for 128. I was just trying to be fancy. Give that a second to do its thing. Or not. Did I just crash Pro Tools? Yes. Awesome. All right. Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, good. Okay, we're good. Okay, cool. Ouch. Wait. Sorry. Why are we so loud? Oh, it's because you went all the way up. Why'd you go all the way up? Bad you. Okay, so now let's go back here and talk about why this. Why did I do this? Well, really, what I wanted to do was I wanted to. It's like multiple levels of gathering things, and there might be an easier way to do this or not. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of showing you stuff right now. All this stuff is going into my drum group pre. I want my tape to be separate from the smacky sound. I want the smacky sound to be smacky. I want the tape sound to be kind of rich and tapey. And I want to pull everything together over here. So what I'm using is I'm just using this one right here. Literally, it's just a split. It's just a splitter. So I'm gathering everything in. I'm splitting it back out. Now, I could use the sends to do all these to do basically the same thing, but I don't want to do that because I want all this stuff to go in here, and I want this one, this reverb here is going to stay in the same place because I don't want the reverb to go through this at all. So we're going to keep the reverb where it is, right where it is, and we're going to split this stuff out using the drum comp and the drum comp light. I'm gonna change the order on these because one is, I'm like a stickler for this kind of stuff. One is before the other. So the drum comp light is first, the drum comp is here, and now I got this tape on here. Let's go ahead and mute this one. We can just listen, and we can listen to things as we want. So I want to listen to this tape. Got like a nice little, little slight saturation on the tape there. Let's there we go. Now the thing is, this tape sound does not affect this sound. They're not, this is not compressing that tape sound. This is just compressing. Where's that delay? Stop it. Okay. It's not compressing that tape sound. So now I can balance these out. So I get kind of the both worlds. And you can hear it's like there's quite a lot of distortion going on with this one here. I'll just turn that down. There we go. Cool. So there it is with just the tape. And then we dial up that pop. There we go. Cool. And now I use this drum group here to control the overall level of everything. So I can turn it down, and it's down. Turn it back up, and it's up. So cool. And we can use this for all sorts of stuff, this whole parallel compression or different chains of things. So for example, this 808 sub, if I wanted to add some kind of like mid-range distortion in there, but not take over everything, here, let's do that. Let's add another track over here. I could just make this one mono. It doesn't need to be stereo. This is like an example of when you would use a mono aux track, and I'm just gonna call this one bass mid. I'm gonna color it so it's the same color as my bass. Oh, you're not the same color. No. Yes. There we go. And let's add in like a distortion-y sound in here. Where's a good harmonic distortion? Let's use... Oh, you know what I've got recently that's really cool? Do I have it? TUST. Oh, they don't make it. It's not a AAC plugin. No, that's too bad. From output. Oh, there it is. Thermal. Oh, it's just not in the right. Okay. Oh, it's going to make it stereo. All right. Well, if I'm going to do that, let me just... Fine. Whatever. It doesn't... I guess it doesn't really matter if it's making it into stereo. So this thermal plugin is really cool if it works. There you go. It's got some cool settings in here. I recently got this. I've been loving it. It's got this like preset here called 808 Lover. Let me make that one a favorite. And also a Dirty 808 Room is another good one here. But let's use this one here. And you can see it's got a pretty interface too. It just looks nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the signal over here with a bus. Since it's mono, just send a mono bus over here. Bus input, bus 7 input. There we are. Boop. And again, I'll make this one pre. I don't have to make this one pre, actually. Well, let's make it pre so we can hear it. So here's that now. Right, that's a nice sound there. Hear how that's what it sounds like without it. But I don't maybe want it to take over the whole sound. Let's just experiment with some different sounds in here. Come on, you pretty interface. My computer's a little bit complaining right now. Let's go to bass. Too far, right? Sounds pretty cool. But you hear that some of these, wow, some of these take out the low end in a way. Like, let's use this one here. This one, it sounds good, but it doesn't really have that low end in it, right? So what I want to do is let's take out the low end even more. Put an EQ in there to really get rid of that low end so we can have it all from the other one. There we go. There we go. And now, so there it is. There it is, the normal one here by itself. And here it is with some added oomph to it, but it's still got that low end from the normal one. And so this is something that I would do quite a lot. Once you do this here, you really want to make sure that you subgroup these together. Boom, there's my bass group. Change that color. There we go. And now, because I've got them subgrouped, make sure that these are all solo saved as well. Now I can adjust the volume on it and I can mix it with my drums. And that's how you get some attitude in your different sounds, using this kind of like parallel chain over here. Cool. All right. Sweet. So I think that's pretty good for stuff. This is just like some big crazy project. If you want to go ahead and take a look at it, you can. I'm not going to go through it right now, but you can take a look at that and check it out and see, you know, what it's like. All right. And it's just showing you like where things go, because things get crazy real fast with this stuff. And as you can see, I've got How many tracks of drums I've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks of drums, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aux tracks for those drums, including the reverb. No, 6, including that delay over there. So, you know, remember when I said aux tracks are going to become one of your best friends and they're just as important as your audio tracks? Well, I wasn't lying. You see what I'm talking about? It's all right here in front of you. You can see it. It's crazy how much you use aux tracks. For this bass, I've actually got 1 bass track and then 2 aux tracks for that bass track. So aux tracks are going to become your bestest buds. And you should, you know, they should be your bestest buds. I'm going to go ahead and do a save as over here. Save as. I can never remember the shortcut for this. It's Command Option S. Do save as. Let's call this one effects. Oops. MIDI. Let's call this one effect chains 2105 W12 AM. Sweet. Cool. So now I know what that is. Great. So I got that there. Now, let's open up. Let's open up this other track. Let's open up one of the other tracks. Let's see. What can we? Let's close this out. You close. I'm gonna quit a couple things here. I'm gonna quit you. I'm gonna quit you. I want to make sure my computer has enough, like, you know, can run well. I feel like we're still missing, like, a couple people never signed in today. Like, I don't have anything for Austin, Salik, or Shane, or Ahmad. Where are you people? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about vocal effects chains. And in order to do that, I'm going to make a new Pro Tools session here. And we're going to use one of the... Go over here to my teaching stuff. And we're going to use the production projects. Here we go. Ahmad, you signed in. Cool. I believe you. You must have signed in at some place. Maybe. You Shane, you're here. Ahmad. Well, I mean, I can't look it up. I can't go back in time. Remember what I said to y'all before? But probably what had happened was that I'm not doubting you, dude, at all. First, well, that's the problem. If you're here before I start talking and stuff like that, if you sign in, chances are I'm not going to see it because it only comes in when I do my thing. And then Shane says, and then, okay, cool. All right, you guys are all here. I believe you. I'm just trying to let you know that I'm working with incomplete information on my end. Don't everybody freak out. Everybody chill. So we're still missing Salik. So Salik, if you are here, speak up now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go in here to our projects, and I'm only human, by the way. I'm only human, so I make mistakes too. Things happen. Chill, everybody. Take a breath. Let's go ahead and take a look, listen to one of these here. Yeah, let's grab one of these here. And we got all these vocals here, different microphones. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to call this one, what is this, Andrew Cole, Dead Roses. And you can get these on this great website, which I'll put the link in the description. I can't remember right now, but I'll put the link to it in the description, where you can get all these things that I'm using. And I'm using these because this is the class, and so we're using these for classes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw these in here. And did that work? Maybe I gotta hold it down. There we go. Boom. You can get in there. So I got all these in here, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna use the vocals down here. We're not gonna actually got all these multiple microphones and stuff like that. We're not gonna use all the other stuff. I just wanna do a quick thing about, like, a vocal effect chain.
I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
This is great. Here, I'm gonna hide all these other ones. Get out of here. Hide all y'all.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
Okay, this is a great one to use because it's got a lot of sibilants and stuff in it. So what you want to do if you're doing a vocal effects chain, let me just show you the notes. Here's your vocal effects chain right here. It's at the end of the notes here. You want to have an EQ with a de-esser, a compressor, and then another EQ. Maybe even another compressor in there. It kind of depends on what you're trying to do with it. But why do we use all these? So here's a breakdown of all these different effects that we're going to use for this chain. The first EQ is just a utility. It's just a low cut or a high pass, if you will, and put that at like 100 hertz. So I'm going to go over here to my EQ. I'm going to set this to EQ1, which is the one that comes with Pro Tools. It's a super basic one. And we're going to set this one up to be frequency is 100 hertz. Set it to a high pass, change it to a 6-band, and now let's listen to this.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
Still sounds really good, but we're missing all that. There's all like low end information that would be in there. I'm gonna go ahead and put a Pro Q3 on my Fab filter here, so we could just see the we can just see all the frequencies.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
See, there's all this like low end information over here that's going on. Let's get rid of all
But
that.
I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse
See how much
you.
more down it came right here? So we don't have it anymore. If you really want to get rid of it,
And all of the moonlight
change this
sparkling down
to 12.
from the sky.
See how much it cuts it out down there? Even more,
Blue
18.
diamonds in your eyes.
Right, but the problem is with this is it doesn't sound as good, right? So
Well, I should have kissed you.
let's keep it at 6.
Not
It's
dismissed
going to sound a bit smoother. We're still going to have them in there, but they're just not going to be as loud, okay? Now, next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in here a de-esser, because we want to get rid of all that sibilance, all that kissed you, not dismissed you, like the S's sound in there. So let's get rid of those. I'm going to use my favorite one. There's the one that comes with Ableton Pro Tools is the de-esser, which works. Whoa, dang it. Hold on a second. I want to keep that. I'm going to keep that in looking at it. Ugh. Stay there. Don't leave. Okay, I gotta remember I hold down shift. Okay, there we go. So now this de-esser, it works. It's okay. It's not my favorite one. My favorite one is the Waves one, which is always like 30 bucks or something like that. I'll show you that one in just a second. But we're gonna go in here,
Should've kissed you,
go to Male
not
DS.
dismissed you.
Okay, I'm gonna loop this.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
Here, we're gonna loop that. It's gonna get super annoying, but I want to loop it.
Well, I should have kissed
And you just turn this range
not
down.
dismissed you. Well, I should have kissed you,
Now this is too much.
not dismissed you.
Hear how it's like cutting out those S's completely? Too far.
Not dismissed you.
We just want to make it
I should have kissed you.
so it sounds good, not weird.
Well, I should have kissed you.
Here's the S's like
not
super loud.
dismissed you.
We just want to pull them
Well,
down,
I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
right? A little bit,
Well, I should have kissed you.
right like that. Okay. Now let me show you the Waves one. This is my favorite one. Is the Waves one. Let's go to Waves, Waves, and the DS are here.
Well, I should have kissed you,
Pull up my
not
preset.
dismissed you. Well, I
And there's some
should
different
have
ones in
kissed
here that you can use, like, you know,
not
vocals and stuff like
dismissed
that.
you. Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
And pull it down.
Well, I should have kissed you,
There we go.
not dismissed you.
Cool.
Well, I should have kissed you,
Yeah.
not dismissed you.
The reason why I like this one is because it's just smoother than the other one. The other one is like too abrupt, too abrasive or whatever. This one's like a lot smoother. So I like this one. And like I said, Waves is always running sales on it. So
Well, I should have kissed
and it's
you.
like I think it's like 30 bucks or
Not
something like that.
dismissed
Totally worth
you.
it. Totally worth it. It's like this is like the de-esser that you'll need. I also just got one from FabFilter, which I haven't really messed with too much yet. And that one's cool too. But this one is just basic. It does what it needs to do, and it sounds really good. So the de-esser is next. Then after that, we're going to get a compressor going on. And the compressor is going to be to smooth stuff out in general. And you want your compressor to be really smooth and not like, not over compressed. You don't want it to sound compressed. A good one for vocals, if you want to buy one, is the Teletronics LA2. LA2A. These ones here are great. This one down here, I have a 2A down here. This is from Native Instruments. If you get the complete bundle, this one is there, and this is a really good one. It's got a peak reduction here. The reason why this one's so good is because it can actually compress things a lot without sounding over compressed.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
And basically what we want to do is we want to smooth out this whole overall performance.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa. But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you.
And you don't want it to be hitting like that hard. You want it to be hitting like -3 dB or something.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down
Right.
from the sky.
Cool.
Blue diamonds.
Okay, that sounds
in
pretty
your
good. And then we can
eyes.
turn it up after that if we wanted to make it louder overall.
Taste the sweetness of your smile.
Okay. Now remember, you can hear all that bleed that's coming through the headphones there. We want to make sure that we're not getting too much of that. If you wanted to, you could use the strip silence to cut out the parts between. It really depends on how much is interfering with everything else that's going on. I'm not really showing this as a mix of the whole song, so that's why we're not going to listen to, because I don't have the song mixed at all. I just wanted to grab a vocal here just to kind of show you what the effects chain could be. And then finally, we want to have another EQ here on the end. And this last EQ, I'm not going to use the Pro Q3 for this. The last EQ here is going to be for making it sound pretty again, making it sound kind of nice overall. A good one, I like a SSL type of EQ would be really good for this kind of stuff. Here, let's just use the one that comes with Pro Tools, which is not an SSL EQ, which is this one right here. So
Well, I
you might want
should've
to
kissed you,
add some of those high frequencies
not
back in.
dismissed you. Whoa.
You know, maybe if there's any boxiness going on.
But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you. Oh.
He's got like a lot of air kind of going on with his voice. Maybe you want
And
to
all
pull.
of the moonlight sparkling down from the sky.
Like you may want to pull a little
Blue
bit.
diamonds.
You know, something like that. I mean, again, I'm on headphones right now. It's really hard to hear what's right, what's not right. But just remember, like, this is the order and why these things are in this order. Okay, the first EQ is just to get rid of that low frequency stuff so it's not messing with our compressor. That de-esser, put the de-esser before the compressor as well. So when you're smoothing stuff out, it's not smoothing it out based on the sibilances and those hard sibilances. It's just right that you're getting rid of all that stuff. The compressor is to smooth things out. And then you got your EQ. The second EQ is to kind of make things pretty overall. If there's like some kind of weird thing happening with the microphone, this is a good recording, so you really don't need a whole lot of this last EQ here. I would actually, you can see I'm not really doing much with these, like a little bit to here. That might not even be correct. Like I said, I can't really hear what I'm doing. But another EQ that I like, and again, this comes with the Native Instruments stuff. One of the reasons I'm talking about Native Instruments so much right now is because they've got a sale going on. It's for 50% off on a lot of their stuff. So it's a good time to buy some Native Instruments things. For the month of June, they had this sale that goes on.
Well, I should have kissed you.
Let's just go in here.
Not dismissed you. Whoa.
So this here,
But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you. Oh.
I'm gonna put these back to 0. I don't really want it doing with these low
And
frequencies.
all of the moonlight.
Yeah, because I didn't want it to pull back these low frequencies. If anytime you use a preset, you're gonna have to like tweak it and mess with it a little bit. But really, what I want to use this for is kind of more those high frequencies a little bit. And this is an SSL EQ. Solid means it's like from solid state, right? Which is basically SSL type of EQ. We got
Well,
our
I
highs,
should've
high
kissed
mids.
not dismissed you. Whoa.
Right, you can hear that sounds. I'd probably pull these highs back a
But
little
I
bit.
thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you.
Cool.
Oh.
And I'm just using this last one here just so we can see the
All of
frequencies.
moonlight sparkling down.
Because it sounds so good, I wouldn't need to do like surgical kind of EQing on this thing. And that's our setup here. Let me just put this right here and zoom in on this so you can see what it would look like on your thing. And this is it. And then what I would do is I would have a reverb. Let's make a reverb in here. Stereo reverb, aux, reverb, and a really good reverb I've been messing around with recently. Well, not recently. Well, I might crash it actually. Is the Valhalla stuff down here? I just did update it, but just in case, I don't really want to mess with it. But the Valhalla reverbs are really great. What else do I have? Reverbs. I've got a good. Let's see, a plate reverb. I got this little plate reverb, which is a great reverb. Oh, it's the Sound Toys. So it may or may not work right now because I don't have my iLok plugged in. I don't remember how Sound Toys does there. No. No. The problem, I apologize. I don't really use a lot of these plugins in Pro Tools. I mostly use them in Ableton Live. So my Pro Tools might struggle a little bit with it. But essentially, I think you get the idea. Yeah, it's like, I don't have that iLok. I do have the iLok. I actually have that iLok right. Where is it? Somewhere. It's just not plugged in. All right. And I don't have like a little. I don't know where my thing is. Because I had to move into this room, so I don't know where some of the stuff is. All right. So over here, reverb. Let's see here. What's another one we can use? Reverb. Plate. Oh, there we go. This is this is Isotope though, I think. Oh, I need that iLok plugin, don't I? Oh no, okay, cool. Oh, this is Arturia, right? Cool. Okay, so we got this here, and for vocals like this, a plate reverb would be really great. I'm gonna go ahead and solo safe that. We're gonna send it over here to our reverb. Let's go to track, reverb. There we are. Boom. Now.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
Let's see if there's like a vocal preset in
I thought
here.
I'd lose you. I may amuse you. Oh.
Right? Yeah. Let's make it all the
And
way
all
wet.
of the moonlight sparkling down
Hear how nice that
from the
sounds?
sky.
It won't let me lock.
Blue diamonds in your eyes.
Too far. Let's see. What else we got?
Taste the sweetness of your smile.
Let's see here. Chorus played.
Dead
Too small.
roses of the wine.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty
I
good.
smell dead roses.
Nice little
Dead roses
small
in
sound.
your hair.
Makes it nice
Can you
and
smell
wide. Okay, so it makes it nice and wide out there. So a reverb, a plate reverb would be good for something like this. The one that comes with Pro Tools is fine. There's a spring reverb. Let's see here. Don't use a spring reverb. We could use this deverb, and deverb is fine. It's not the worst. Not my favorite, but...
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
Right, there we go. Let's get a larger one.
But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you. Oh.
Yep, it does the job. It's okay. So, anyway, let's go ahead and stop the recording there. I just want to give you like a little show about how to do all this stuff and like about these, like what we can use on a vocal effect. Oh, actually, before we start the recording, let's just talk about this delays and reverbs. If I have a delay on my voice, let's go ahead and add another channel in here. Let's add a mono aux channel and call this one delay. And we're going to send it over to that delay. Go to track, delay, boop, there we go. Solo save you, let's put a delay on here. And I'll just use the delay that comes with Pro Tools here. The where are you? Mod delay 3. There we go. I'll show you this one first, then I'll show you one of my favorite delays. Let's set this up. I'm not going to set it to sync.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa, whoa. But I thought I'd lose you. I may amuse you. Oh.
Okay, cool. So we got this delay here.
And all of the moonlight sparkling down from the sky.
Right? So I got this delay going on here. What I want to do is I want to send this delay into the reverb over here, because right now the reverb, the vocal has this reverb on it, but the delay is dry. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me just turn it back up again.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you.
Right? The delay is completely dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that delay into the reverb as well. I'm going to hold down Option and just drag it over. Now,
well, I should have kissed you.
Now the delay has the reverb on it, so it's in the same space.
Well, I should have kissed you, not dismissed you. Whoa.
So everything stays in the same place. And this is a really good thing to do with your delays. If you have a track going into a reverb and you have that track also split to go into a delay, send that delay back into the reverb as well. It's not going to cause a feedback loop. It's just going to give that delay the same space. So it's a good idea to run your delay into the same reverb as your original track that's feeding both. And that's just how you would set this up. So have your vocal going out to the main 1 and 2, your delay, all these are going to go out to your main 1 and 2, your main outputs. In this case, it's output 1 and 2. And then have it go to the delay. The vocal splits and goes to ascend, goes to that reverb, and it splits and goes to the delay. And then the delay comes to the reverb, and they all end up back in main 1 and 2. So definitely want to set that up. If you have any questions about that, we can talk about that in Zoom. So we've been going for another hour here. It's almost noon o'clock. Let's go ahead and stop the recording here.